Well, free agency is like what, 4 days, 5 days in the books now. Kylen Mills and I are going to break down all the massive, huge names the Warriors have picked up, folks. It's riveting. I mean, this lineup, I don't know how the Nuggets and the Suns are going to beat these guys. We're going to break it all down next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. And make sure to use that promo code Locked On. You can follow Kylen Mills on all social media platforms, including Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kylen Mills, her name. You can follow me, Cyrus, Saatsaz, on Twitter at Dog Surf Roadshow. Kylen, great to see you. Happy 4th of July Eve, whatever you call this weird day. How you doing? And give me your first reaction, and the audience as well, to the Warriors' activity or lack thereof, as we're in day, 4 now of free agency? Yeah, take it away.
Good to see you, Cyrus. This is such a weird day. I hate weeks like this when you have a holiday, but it like falls on a Tuesday. It's so awkward because it's like some people work on Monday, some people don't, some people treat it like a holiday. It feels like a holiday. So anyways, it's a strange day of the week. What's even more strange is the lack of activity from the Golden State Warriors in free agency. I mean, to me, this is a team that needs to bolster their lineup and their roster and needs to do it quickly. I was hoping to see some more signings. I know we're going to break down specifically Cory Joseph, and I can get into that in a minute. But first, I just want to talk about, maybe some of the lack of movement. I think the Warriors need to really try to jump on picking up a big and doing it quickly. We both have talked about the need for size. And to me, that's the one area when I line up, everyone that the Warriors have on this roster right now that they still are lacking in. Size.
Yes.
I would love to see a backup center, if not a power forward, come into this rotation, someone that can give you minutes in the second unit. Doesn't have to necessarily be an all-star, because I know some people were, shooting pretty high. I've heard the Lopez brothers be, dropped in there, that people were looking for the Warriors to scoop up, or wanting the Warriors to scoop up, maybe jokingly at that. But, my point is that I don't think they need to bring in some kind of all-star center. Just bring in someone who can play in the second unit and bring some size. Or I'd be even happy with the power forward. But it's crazy. If you look at the Warriors roster as it's constructed right now, there just really isn't anyone to play at the 4 or 5. I mean, Gary Payton II is the closest that you have to being able to play down there in terms of defensive, intensity. It's Kuminga, it's Gary Payton II. If you're looking at guarding bigger guys, and obviously Draymond Green and Kevon Looney are going to be in the starting lineup, you'd expect most of the time. But what happens when Draymond and Kevon Looney come out? Who is taking on those roles? I guess Kuminga could guard a center, but then who's guarding? You know what I mean? What if the roster were to stay the same? What would the plan be?
I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, I think, is the only other big you could think of.
So you're going to throw a rookie?
But who's a rookie? Granted, he played 4 years in college. But that's it. That's it. You're absolutely right. Now, some speculation on day one was that Dario Saric, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, is a player that the Warriors are interested in. But that was 4 days ago. We haven't heard anything since. Who knows what's going on? Who knows if there's 10 other teams also trying to pursue him? You're right. The one free agent acquisition is Cory Joseph. I guess, look, let's there's some positives here. First of all, Cory Joseph is here because Ty Jerome's gone. Woo! So I'm ecstatic about that. I almost, regardless of what happens the rest of this offseason, want to call it a win, an A grade. But obviously, I want to be realistic too. Still, Cory Joseph is awesome. He's a veteran. I mean, the Warriors are clearly in a win now mode. They seem to value the point guard position a lot more than I do. They've been seeking some help. They got Chris Paul. Now they got Cory Joseph, who last year shot 39% from beyond the arc, which is huge. He's a great three-point shooter, still averaged 7 points a game in a backup role. He's durable. He's a good defender for a point guard. I thought that was a solid pickup. Not nothing to write home about necessarily, but a solid pickup. You're right about the size thing. What are your thoughts on Cory Joseph, though? And we'll get into the size thing in a second because I have a list of all the remaining players who the Warriors are going to have. They're going to have to get people. I mean, there's 2, if not 3 holes on this roster. But what are your thoughts on Cory Joseph? At least they filled the backup point guard spot, so Chris Paul can take days off here and there and play limited minutes. Are you excited about him? What are your thoughts?
Before I input those thoughts, really quick question. Someone commented, because you just brought up Trayce Jackson-Davis as being maybe the only person who could be a backup center, that he's injured. He's hurt. I don't
think it's serious. I saw that report. I don't see the specifics. Tonight is the debut of that. It's not Summer League. It's like that Sacramento tournament. The Sacramento Classic. I forgot what they're calling that thing. So it's an exhibition
California
tournament.
Classic, maybe. That's what I think that's what it was last year. Called California Classic.
Yeah, so and it's like a summer league type format. It's their exhibition games, so you're going to see young players play. But yes, Trayce Jackson-Davis. Because of the only thing I read is wear and tear. I have no idea what that means. I hope the injury is not serious, but you're right. He's not going to play tonight.
So whatever that means. I mean, you never want to hear that from a rookie that you literally just drafted, like ready to make his faux summer league, whatever you want to call this tournament debut, and he's already hurt based on wear and tear. Bro, you're one of the young guys. We can't afford to bring in young guys that are already dealing with wear and tear issues. Like, come on.
Right.
Like you said, it's something minor. That's what I was trying to look up. I'm like, do we even know a specific body part? Like, what does that mean? So that's not good to hear. Okay. But back to what you were just talking about in terms of Cory Joseph. I like the signing. I think it's a good pickup. It's not one that I necessarily anticipated, but looking at his profile, you mentioned it. He's a good on-ball defender. Joseph is a 12-year veteran, so he knows how to play the game. He surely can work into the rotation. He's maybe lost a half step because he is older, but he's still going to be a positive in terms of perimeter defending and working within this Warriors group. So I think that's definitely huge. You've got a guard who can defend. The Warriors lost Donte DiVincenzo, one of their best on-ball defenders. I think Cory Joseph is serviceable. I don't know if he's going to be exactly up to par with what we saw from Donte DiVincenzo defensively, but I think he's going to be, you know what I mean? He's going to be at least up there to where he can handle the role. You're not looking at a liability like Jordan Poole. Or even close to a liability like Jordan Poole. I hate to even compare the two because, we've talked a lot about Jordan Poole's defensive issues. So I think that's a positive. Another couple things to note about Cory Joseph. You mentioned it, but, shooting nearly 40% from 3. That's a super big positive. He's also a player who could potentially play off ball. Yes, he can fill in a backup point guard role, but he also can play off ball and can spread the floor because he can't shoot the 3 ball. So that's a big positive. One other thing is last season, Cory Joseph was top 10 in assist to turnover ratio. That means he's a point guard who's going to take care of the ball, and you don't have to worry about any of the sloppy turnovers we saw from the Warriors late in games throughout last season. So that reassures me a little bit in terms of what type of player you're getting as well. So I think there are a couple different parts about his game that are going to be good additions for the Warriors. I think it's good to add some insurance at the point guard position because we know that Steph Curry is going to miss, I'm going to say give or take 20 games at least. I mean, I hope that Steph doesn't deal with any injuries, but even when he's just dealt with, speaking of wear and tear, minor wear and tear, or, something always seems to come up every season. He's an older player. They're going to be looking to rest him and also manage his minutes. So you've got to expect that, there are going to be times where Steph's going to be out. And now you added in Chris Paul, another aging point guard, into the mix. You've got to assume there's going to be some games he's going to have to miss, whether it be, minor injuries or load management and things like that. So who's that guy that's going to step up after that? And last season, we saw Ty Jerome getting major minutes as a two-way player. So I think it's good to bring in a veteran who has that high-level NBA experience. I just talked about all the numbers that he can add to the system. So when the Warriors are healthy, he's a viable option to play off ball. When the Warriors are dealing with missing one of their point guards, one of the first two, the third in line is someone who has experience and can run an offense. That does make me feel better. It doesn't make me feel better about the size, but you've got a solid perimeter defender in addition to a player who can run the floor with experience, won't turn the ball over, and can shoot the 3. So I'm happy with that.
Totally. I'm with you on that. When we come back, we're going to talk about what players are still remaining. There are some, but that list is getting smaller and smaller. In the chat, I saw, for example, Mo Wagner. He's gone. He got signed. and he got signed for above the vet minimum. So the Warriors were never really in contention there. But there are some players left. And when you're considering the fact that the Warriors' tallest player right now is 6'9", yes, there are some major issues there. We'll talk about that and so much more after we first give some love to Prize Picks, a longtime sponsor of Locked On Warriors. And look, Prize Picks is all about daily fantasy made easy. It's all about having fun while you're watching your sports. Look, whatever the sport is, right? The Women's World Cup is just around the corner. Major League Baseball is going on right now. And you could bet on that. And you're betting on individuals. It's over-unders. It might be number of hits in a game. It might be number of goals or assists in a game. Whatever the stat is, you just got to pick a minimum of 2 players, a maximum of 6 players. You could win up to $1 million if you get 6 correct picks. True story. The payouts are super fast and easy. No sketchy wire services that you have to deal with. And it's legal in California. That's a huge perk as well. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, they'll give you $50. Whatever you put in, they'll match. So you start playing with double what you put in. But don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On and sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. For your next listen, you everydayers, I don't know yet, but follow us on Twitter at Locked On Dubs, and that's where we make all our announcements for guests, what time we start, and so forth. So I made a list on Friday's show, Kylen. I created a full, in terms of categories, all the potential free agents that are available for the Golden State Warriors, and I'm going to run through that so we can see who's left from what was originally published. Now, look, I didn't have Cory Joseph in this list. Oops, sorry, I got to share this. Wait, I got the wrong one. Here we go. Share this. Okay, I didn't have again Cory Joseph in my list, but I did have in the lowest category possible. This is pure desperation, and the Warriors are getting close to this. You still have Blake Griffin available. You still have Boban Marjanovic available, and you still have Taj Gibson available. None of them are exciting. None of them probably translate to a world title, but they're still out there. Kylen, do any of those players excite you?
Oh, Cyrus, it's getting bleak here, man. I mean, I don't know.
Let me zoom in on this.
I actually don't hate Taj Gibson. To be honest, I haven't watched him the last couple of years, but I did watch him quite a bit when he played with the Bulls. I don't know. I mean, he at least was a solid defender, a good hustle player, a good rebounder back when he played with the Bulls. But none of those guys excite me. I mean, it's not good. I don't know. I mean, Blake Griffin, I guess, is there. What were his latest shooting numbers? That's what I'd be
Gibson
curious.
or Blake Griffin?
Blake Griffin.
Oh, he was on the Celtics last year. I don't have his numbers in front of me. I'll get in a
That's
second.
what I'm saying. Like, these guys are all so washed.
But this might be all that's left. I mean, I see people mentioning Dwight Howard. I wouldn't hate that. You and I actually both advocated for him this last season. But I mean, there are reports out there that have. Dwight Howard expressed interest in playing for the Warriors last year, but there are reports that the Warriors have no interest in him, and that's the reason why I didn't include him in this list. I don't know the why of that. I have no idea. But I mean, when you're talking about the fact that if the Warriors are serious about being a world title contender, you're looking at the teams that you have to overcome. The Nuggets are number one on that list, right? As weird as this sounds, I would trust Dwight Howard playing defense on Nikola Jokic. That doesn't sound like an awful idea to me. But again, the Warriors aren't interested. Blake Griffin, by the way, his stats last year averaged 4.1 points per game. He did shoot 35% from three, so that's something. But you wanted Taj Gibson? Or I don't know who you wanted.
No, him and both. I was curious about both of them because these are both guys to me that are like so cooked. I don't even know what they've done lately, so I was just curious, because my only redeeming thing is if you can shoot still, then I guess even as players get older, you can add some type of value. But I don't know. None of those three excite me. I saw someone commenting in the chat asking about Jakob Poeltl. He got signed, dude, and this is a problem. The Warriors don't have money to sign anyone who would be quality. I mean, like Poeltl ended up getting signed to I think it was a 4-year, $80 million deal with a player option in the last year. And like I said, people were making comments about bringing one of the Lopez's, but it's just like the Warriors can't afford any of these players. That's the problem. Like they don't have any money left because they're so far into the luxury tax that it's just getting ridiculous. And I'm personally angry because I think the new CBA was atrocious. I don't think it's fair the way it feels like the Warriors are being punished, like flat out. Do you agree with me, Cyrus? On that? I know we touched on it a little bit, but it just popped in my mind when we're talking about the Warriors not being able to sign players and these luxury tax issues. And it just, to me, it also boils down to the CBA and the way this has affected the team's ability to spend. And I personally think it's kind of BS. Like it feels like a hit on the Warriors.
Agreed. I feel like it was absolutely targeted for that. I mean, look, the CBA, I mean, the way the CBA is constructed, you're basically penalized for drafting successfully. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. And I had Eric Pincus on the show about a month or so ago, and the point he made, I get it, which basically it removes any possibility of a change in the scheme to stop this punishment for drafting so effectively is if you change the rules. So, for example, someone you draft counts for, say, 75% of their total salary toward the cap. That would be like the ideal setup to reward teams for drafting well. That would mean that the other teams in the NBA would be getting less revenue, right? Because they split up the pot with all the luxury tax penalties and all this extra money that teams like the Warriors have to pay to the NBA. That money then is turned around and given to the other NBA teams. And if you change the rules to not apply salaries toward the luxury tax if they're drafted players, you're also taking money away from the owners of, say, the Indiana Pacers, the Orlando Magic, the San Antonio Spurs, all these small market teams. So regardless of fairness, economically speaking, it's virtually impossible. It sucks. I'm with you. Why would you penalize teams for wanting to be organic and raise their players from their own system and keep their players? But that would mean less money for the other owners. And that was his logic. And I was like, well, damn it. I mean, it doesn't mean it's right, but it also means we're likely never going to see a change in this system or this rule. So I'm with you, though. I'm 100% with you. Yeah.
What about someone mentioned in the chat, Mo Bamba? Did he just get waived by the Lakers?
No, Mo Bamba is on my list. I was going to get to him in a second. I don't know if he's still available, though. I'm going to look that up right now. But Mo Bamba was on my list. I'll get to him in just a second. I believe he's still out there. Yeah, he's still out there. I'll get to the list in a second.
I hadn't seen that he got signed since being waived because he just got waived pretty recently.
He was a free agent, or his contract was not picked up.
It was it was non-guaranteed. It was a non-guaranteed contract. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is currently remains an unrestricted free agent. I'll get to that in just a second. So we obviously don't want Blake Griffin. We don't want Boban Marjanovic. We don't want Taj Gibson. Group G, the Brad Wanamaker group. We have Javonte Green, who I think is still out there, but he's not a big. Derrick Jones Jr., do not be surprised if he ends up with the Warriors. And he would actually be a solid addition. He's like a power forward type, doesn't give you height, but he gives you toughness, gives you defense. And then Frank Kaminsky, if I'm not mistaken, is still out there as well. He can shoot the ball. He doesn't excite me, but Frank Kaminsky is still out there. Any excitement for him as a free agent center?
I'm not excited about any of these guys again, and I hate to say it. I mean, I know that it's slim pickings, but I don't know. I just feel like the Warriors needed to act quicker. I actually don't mind Derrick Jones Jr., but he just isn't very tall, and I feel like he's got to be 6'6" maybe, and it's kind of
6'7".
Yeah. So I just feel like I kind of want more size than that. It's like we already got Draymond Green playing the small ball center half the game, and really the only other option we have right now is Kevon Looney, and Jonathan Kuminga is right around the same height as that as well. So I wouldn't mind adding still someone who's bigger because I kind of like Derrick Jones Jr. He's all right. So yeah, I don't know.
Ray Lang, real quick. You keep bringing up Mo Wagner. He's gone. The Orlando Magic re-signed him. So. He is not available. Moving on in the list, and again, Frank Kaminsky would not be an awful option. He is, I believe, 6'11" or 7 feet. Can shoot the three. I'm not, he doesn't. None of these names are going to excite anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the reality of the Warrior situation. Unless they pull off a big trade, this is what we're going to have to settle with here. So Group F. This is the Glenn Robinson, the third group. Markieff Morris is still out there. JaMychal Green is still out there. Tristan Thompson is still out there. Myers Leonard is still out there. And so is Bismack Biyombo. All 5 of these individuals are still available. Do any of them excite you, Kylen?
Time out. I'm sorry, but we can't bring any of the drama that comes with Tristan Thompson to the Golden State Warriors. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna say a no to that. Sorry, that just made me laugh.
Of course.
It's interesting that JaMychal Green's name is on this list.
Well, is he like? Well, I brought it up just because when you look at all the available players, I mean, he's not awful. He knows the system. I don't think it would be I don't think it would be impossible to imagine him back in a Warriors uniform. I don't think it's ideal, but he's out there.
Yeah.
Gilbert Abalo, by the way, Christian Wood is not on my list just because I don't envision him signing with anyone for the veteran minimum. If he's available, I would love Christian Wood. I've been an advocate of his to come to the Warriors for like 3 years now. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Before we move on from this list, Kylen, any other thoughts?
I don't think Leonard, maybe I would say maybe Myers Leonard. I mean, he's a 7-footer, right? I mean, certainly a guy who adds some size. I know he didn't play a ton in Milwaukee, but I'm trying to look up his stats. Maybe 5? I mean, he averaged about 5'4". So maybe like a lower down the bench big. I mean, do you have any like strong impressions of his game?
I mean, he can shoot the ball. He's actually a decent outside shooter for a big. He is a 7-footer. He was out of the league for approximately 2 years because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because of anti-Semitic comments that were recorded while he was playing a video game. So now
I remember that.
So now he's trying to work his way back into good graces with the fan base, the league. So that's Myers Leonard for you. All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, just that backstory alone, I'm like, oh, I actually thank you for jogging my memory about that whole thing. Yeah, not a bad player. Definitely, once again, I just also think with the Warriors, it's super important to look for the culture fit.
Yeah.
I think that with this organization, the way the players have to be able to work together, and I don't know. Like I said, I feel like I've heard Bob Myers say it in the press conferences, and it does seem true that they also do look at the personality side and the human side. And I think that's one reason why the Warriors have been successful. They don't, bring in big egos. They don't bring in guys that have issues and behavioral problems and, things like that. The Dylan Brooks of the world. Sorry, I had to throw.
That's okay.
But
you know what I mean? $1 million a year, by the way, Dylan Brooks.
I know, yeah. So he's making the bag. He's doing just fine. But you know what I mean? I know the Warriors in the past have been intentional about, being particular in terms of who they choose and who they bring in. And I didn't love all the stuff with Anthony Lamb this season. It was a distraction. I thought was another dark mark in terms of some off-court things that happened this season. So it's if possible, you'd prefer to bring in someone who has, a clean background check in terms of any major, drama like that. And making anti-Semitic comments is horrible. Not to say that people don't deserve second chances, but I just, it makes me pause a little bit for sure.
I hear you. No, I don't blame you. For the Blasian Warrior writes, Mason Plumlee and Dario Saric. We'll talk about Saric in a second. Mason Plumlee has signed, darn it, I forgot. Is it the Clippers again? He's not available anymore. And let me see if there's any other names here that people have asked about before we move on to the next. Oh, and then Gilbert Abalo writes DeAndre Jordan. He was re-signed by the Denver Nuggets. So
Plumlee signed with the Clippers, I'm pretty sure.
Myers, I think so too. Mason Plumlee, I think he signed back with the Clippers. So moving on, Group E, the Nemanja Bjelica group. Patrick Beverley I had on here. He is not available. He signed with the 76ers. James Johnson is still available. He's older, but if you want inside toughness, he's as good as it gets. Not tall, but he's still a tough, almost David West-ish type. Wenyen Gabriel is available. He is long. Dario Saric, who again has been linked to the Warriors. I don't know why that has not been made official yet. And then Juan Toscano-Anderson, a player that it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him in a Warriors uniform again. Any thoughts there?
Couple interesting names on this list. First of all, some people in the chat earlier were bringing up Juan Toscano-Anderson.
Yeah.
I don't hate bringing JTA back. Personally, big culture fit guy, a Bay Area native, East Bay native, a player that you know what you're going to get from every single night. He was fairly consistent. No, you're not going to get anything special offensively, but he's going to run the floor. He's going to compete super hard. He's going to battle for rebounds. He's going to battle for, jump balls and loose balls and all that kind of stuff. But to me, they need to add a better piece than that. Like, I'm sorry. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back, but that's not a fix in terms of the big problem to me at all. So, not opposed to bringing back JTA. I just feel like that's not enough.
I hear you.
I like Wenyen Gabriel too as a player. You mentioned long,
athletic.
Athletic, exactly.
Strong.
Very athletic, good defender. So I like Wenyen Gabriel. I just think that I still would like to see more of a traditional center. I mean, I don't know what you think about that. And I like Dario Saric because he is, 6'10". He does bring a little bit more of that size. He's also skilled. He's pretty smooth with the ball. And I feel like he's especially skilled for a big. I don't know about what you think from what you've seen from him, but I like him.
Well, I like it. I like it. When I remember last year when I was watching Dario Saric play for the OKC Thunder, thinking to myself, this is who the Warriors need, a big who can stretch the floor. He's a solid 3-point shooter. He's a smart player. I know basketball IQ plays a part in this as well. No, I'd be all for it. I think Dario Saric sounds great. I'm honestly just perplexed why we're now 4 days out from first hearing about him being a possibility and nothing's happened yet. It's like, is he negotiating with other teams? Is he trying to get more money? We're not hearing anything from the Warriors, so I don't know what's going on there.
That would be a good pickup. I didn't realize he shot 39% from three last season.
Yeah, I like Saric.
Well,
I think
above his career average. I mean, that's huge. I knew he was good, but and this Warrior system, you're looking for bigs that can spread the floor, and he's 6'10". Like, dude.
Maybe even taller. He might be even 6'11" or 7 feet. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. I could be wrong.
He's a big. But again, they don't have him yet. So until they do, we can't really – I don't understand what's going on. And Ernie B. Hernandez, that is a fair also thing to write. Yeah, Ernie says that Dario Saric is not a good defender. That's fair, but you need size, and height alone makes you a better defender. He's not going to be able to defend quick guards who are penetrating, but if he's tasked with a Jokic, with any big you can think of out there, he can at least hold his own, right? I mean, he's got height.
For sure.
Ready to move on to the next group?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Group D, the Otto Porter Jr. group, has Utah Watanabe, who's with the Suns. Mo Bamba, still available. Moritz Wagner re-signed with the Magic. Damian Lee re-signed with the Suns. Mike Muscala, I think, is still out there. I actually don't know what's going on with him. Muscala would be awesome at this point. I'm actually going to look up to see what his status is. But any thoughts on any of those players that is in Group F or Group D?
I feel like some people are going to hate this, but I don't mind Mo Bamba. We're talking about size. Like, you want to bring in a 7-footer? Like, why not? He's a true center for sure, at least. And someone who's just being critical of defense. I mean, he's definitely a rim protector. He has the wingspan to block shots. The Warriors certainly could use that. I mean, love the size, love the height. Definitely needs a little bit more refining, but I mean, I feel more comfortable maybe with him than a rookie. He's played in the league. He's a good rebounder. He has good hands. I mean, in terms of adding a big, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What do you
I'm
think?
absolutely with you.
That's the one name in this group that jumps out to me.
And Mike Muscala, by the way, is technically still with the Wizards, but I don't know why I thought he was an unrestricted free agent, but he's reportedly going to be bought out. Just hasn't happened yet. He would be awesome too. He's very similar to Saric in terms of style of play. He's a big who can shoot the three. Probably not the greatest defender, but again, you can't be picky at this point with your options.
No, that's the one thing about Mo Bamba. He can't shoot, so that's just you've got to accept it. But then you're also getting a 7-footer who can defend under the basket, and he's a good defender. So between Saric and Mo Bamba, two very different style players, but like I think either would help. Like at this point, anything would help. If we can get a big who can space the floor with their shooting, great. If we can get a 7-footer who can be a rim protector and at least just, put them in the lane to clog it up and try to provide the Warriors some type of interior presence outside of Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, who are both like 6'6", like great. Like, I just feel like either one of those types of players could help the Warriors at this point, either a defensive big who's skilled and athletic or the other hand, which is the shooter who's skilled rather offensively.
Absolutely. And Blasian Warrior, correct. The Warriors can only offer the veteran minimum. All right, let's move on. We got 3 more groups here. Group C, the David West group, has Mason Plumlee, who is no longer available, Alex Len, who is no longer available, and I'm actually going to look up Nickeil Alexander-Walker because I don't know if he's still available. No, he's back with the Timberwolves. So this group is moot. Nobody's available anymore in this group. Let's go to Group B.
I don't understand why the Warriors have not acted. Like, to me, I'm like, boom, 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 let's go. Like, they should have been, the phone should be ringing off the hook. And I'm sure there's tons of work going on behind the scenes. I'm not saying that, but like, I don't know. I feel like bringing
it's
Chris
frustrating.
Paul, I didn't hate it in regards to that being the trade move they made. But like, to me, it was just like, we got to address the size thing. I like the fact that we addressed additional, insurance of the point guard position, but like I just feel like there's got to be a sense of urgency to bring someone in. I wanted them to trade for a big, but it didn't happen.
No, you're because that's an area of need. I feel like it's such an obvious area of need that it's striking that the Warriors don't act like it's something that should be an urgent issue to address. It's really mind blowing to me. Terrence Ross, I believe, is still available. He would be a great wing. Does not in any regard solve the big issues. But I would not mind if the Warriors can find a way to add him. Still available. Everyone else on this roster, on this list, is taken.
I would say everyone. I would say I know Torian Prince just was involved.
Lakers, who are very active.
Mm-hmm.
Keita Bates-Diop signed with the Suns. Kevin Love is back with the Miami Heat, and Dwight Powell is back with the Dallas Mavericks. So and then Group A, the Andre Iguodala group. Seth Curry was signed by the Dallas Mavericks. Robin Lopez, just today was announced he is signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Thomas Bryant, I believe, who did he go to? Did he get re-signed by the Nuggets? I actually don't know who he ended up with. I know someone just signed him today. The Miami Heat. The Miami Heat on a minimum deal got Thomas Bryant. Why the Warriors couldn't do that is beyond me. And then Torrey Craig, did he just sign with someone today? I think he did. Torrey Craig agrees to a 2-year deal with the Chicago Bulls, so he's not available. That's it. And then the only other name that I saw in the chat brought up, which was not on my list, was Nerlens Noel's. Would not mind him. I think he's a decent big. We've talked about Boogie Cousins. He's still out there. He might have to be an option. But again, Steve Kerr, for some reason, doesn't like him. They have an issue with each other, apparently. So this is where we're at, folks. This is where we're at. So,
what did I was trying to look it up. What did Robin Lopez sign for?
Bedman. Yeah, he signed the veteran minimum to be with his brother. But Seth Curry, even though his brother Steph could have snuck some money to him through Under Armour, they did not get together. So, my understanding is either veteran minimum, 1 year. Actually, I don't know if there's financial details for that yet. But my understanding, given the Bucks situation, they could not give him more than the veteran minimum. Yeah, it sucks.
But his brother did a little something.
Yeah, maybe. And then the last thing I wanted to play this sound by changing subjects. Is there anything else you want to mention about free agency before we move on?
No, we broke it down enough.
Yeah, and then the last thing, this is a soundbite I wanted to play. This is from Draymond Green, who we actually haven't talked about this. He did re-sign with the Warriors, a 4-year deal for $100 million. Helps out the Warriors a little bit. He took a pay cut for this season to help with the tax situation. So he was on Paul George's podcast talking about the impact of Chris Paul on Jonathan Kuminga, a player that we didn't know what was going on with him. It's looking more and more likely that he's going to stay. A decision I support if he actually plays. If Kerr continues playing these weird games with him, I don't understand the point of keeping him. But if he's now a part of the rotation, great. Anyways, here is Draymond Green talking about Chris Paul's effect on that second unit, and more specifically, Jonathan Kuminga.
Since the trade happened, what do you think he brings to an already stacked and successful team?
Well, I think he brings a couple things. After the Lakers series, Steph said in his press conference, we ran out of variety. If they're taking this away, then you can go to this. If they're taking that away, then you can move to this. Our team last year didn't have a variety of ways that we could score. And I think CP adds another thing to the menu. But I'll tell you one more thing that I think it unlocks, and I actually look forward to learning this from him. I think Chris Paul will completely unlock Jonathan Kuminga and his growth. CP is great with young guys. DeAndre Ayton looked like a bust before CP came to Phoenix. No disrespect to Ayton, but more so a nod to CP.
Yeah.
What he will do for Jonathan Kuminga and unlocking Kuminga is huge.
Well, there you go. I mean, so that's something to be excited about, I guess. Your thoughts on that, Kylen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a positive. I think there's something to be said for that he could definitely be a positive influence on JK. I also like the thought of those two playing together in the pick and roll in terms of running the Warriors offense in the second unit. I think that their two skill sets could work well together. So let's give it a shot. Like I said, I've come around to the CP move, so I'm all right with it. I'm excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. Me too. I mean, look, it's not a bad thing that Chris Paul's part of this team now. I just expected more, and it's looking less.
Yeah,
and less
that's the
likely.
thing. Same. Like yeah, you said it.
Yeah, there you go. So, well, if anything does happen, we'll keep you posted. I was waiting all weekend for some sort of big news to drop.
Yeah,
it never came. I'm kind of grateful because this room, my studio, turns into an oven in a heat wave like we had this last weekend. So regardless, Kylen, anything else going on with you before we wrap it up? Any last thoughts? Anything?
No, you gotta go. So let's wrap it up, and we'll chat later this week. Happy 4th of July, everyone! Thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
I'll be back on a couple times later this week, so we'll run it back, and hopefully we'll be talking about some news for the Warriors. Like, please.
Absolutely, and thank you everyone for
no
joining
days
us.
off for the front office. All right.
No, I wish we had more to report. Believe me, I don't think anyone's happy with what's going on, but it's early. And thank you, everyone. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on all that stuff. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.